Growing tomatoes is a popular addition to any vegetable garden. Hi, I'm Annette and welcome to Kitchen Garden Farmhouse. Today I'm going to be going over with you a number of really good tips in growing tomatoes. Let's get started. Tomato varieties. Choose a tomato variety that's going to grow best in your climate. For example, if you're going to make tomato sauce, then you might want to think about all the varieties that are good for tomato sauce, like the San Mozanas, the Amish paste, or the Romas. Some other things to think about other than is it a good variety for your climate would be, are you looking for an indeterminate, determinate, hybrid, or an heirloom, and does that particular variety have any disease resistance? When choosing a good variety for your area, think about four major categories that a lot of tomatoes fall within. Your cherry tomatoes, your plum or paste tomatoes, your beefsteak tomatoes, and your standard globe tomatoes. Four main categories. Your standard globe category is usually the ones that you can find in most grocery stores. Two good varieties would be your celebrities and your better boys. These are really good tomatoes for slicing and also for cooking. Your cherry tomato category comes in beautiful colors such as red, orange, yellow, and purple. They are bite-sized tomatoes that are good for appetizers and snacks. Two really good varieties would be your Sweet 100s or your Sun Golds. Next category is your plum or paste tomatoes. The big deal about this category is they're all for cooking, whether you're going to roast them, can them, or make them in tomato sauce. Some good varieties would be your Amish paste, your San Marzanos, or also your Romas. The last category is the beefsteaks. They're big, juicy, with lots of flavor. They're good to eat just by themselves as a side dish or on burgers or any kind of sandwiches. Some good varieties would be your big boys, your Cherokee purple, or your Brandywine. Soil pH. Having a slightly acidic soil, the pH to be between 6.2 to 6.8 that drains very well would be very good to plant your tomatoes in. Germinating your tomato seeds indoors on a heating mat is a great way to get a jump start on your tomato harvest, making sure before you transplant them that all dangers of frost have passed. When you get ready to transplant your tomato seedlings outdoors, it's a good idea to give them anywhere from 2 to 3 feet in spacing to allow airflow and light to come through, and this will help reduce the possibility of unnecessary diseases. To prepare your tomato seedlings for their new environment, make sure that you give them plenty of time to be hardened off before the complete transplant takes place. About 1 week before you actually transplant them wherever they're going to be growing at, cut back just a little bit on your watering and any liquid fertilizer that you may be giving that tomato plant, cut back on that as well. When transplanting your tomato plants outdoors, make sure that you plant them where there's plenty of sun. They're going to need at least 8 hours of direct sunlight. However, if you can give them some morning sun, that would be even better, because as the season grows long and the temperatures soar in the summertime, you might have to offer some kind of shade for those tomato plants to survive the hot summer days. Plant your tomato plants deeply. For a stronger and healthier tomato plant, make sure you plant your tomato plants very deeply, because on that stem it has hairs that can turn into roots. More roots means better water uptake and more nutrient uptake. So you can plant it deeply by laying it on its side if your container is not deep enough, if you're planting in a container, or if you're planting in a ground, just dig that hole deep enough that you lay it on its side, or either just straight down vertical, and you can take all the lower leaves off and just leave a few at the top for a stronger, healthier plant. Having a well thought out plan on how you're going to support your tomatoes before they grow too big is a great idea. Your indeterminate type is going to have to be trellis because they grow as a vine. Your determinate type, they grow more smaller and more compact, but nonetheless, they may need to be caged to have some kind of support. Some tomato plants get so heavy that the cage is not going to be enough, because with the weight, it's going to tip over or fall over when you have rain, storms, or winds that comes along. Tomatoes are heavy feeders, so in order to have a bountiful harvest, we need to keep up with fertilizing our tomatoes. So a good balanced fertilizer like a 8-8-8 or a 10-10-10 will be great. And some of that is going to be contingent upon your soil that you already have, how fertile it may be, if you have amended it with compost or not. Companion planting is a tried and true technique that can work to our advantage as gardeners. For example, planting borage close to your tomatoes is known to repel the all ugly tomato hornworm. It's a good idea to prune your indeterminate tomatoes. That's the ones that grows long vines and you'll have to put up on a trellis of some sort. When we prune our indeterminate tomatoes, it causes that plant to really focus its energy in producing more fruit versus a lot of leaves. Now, the only tomatoes that probably will not benefit in pruning them would be your determinate tomatoes, and that's the kind that grows more smaller, compact bushes, and it produces a lot of its fruit at one time. To have a really good harvest of tomatoes, it's very important that we are diligent in keeping up with watering our tomatoes, especially if we do not have something in place like a drip line system, a soaker hose, or a sprinkler of some sort. Another good idea is to mulch your tomatoes. This will help them from drying out so quickly and also in suppressing some of the weed pressure. Just make sure your mulch is not directly up touching the stem, because that can cause some unnecessary fungus or diseases to spread from whatever mulch that you use. You can use grass clippings, wood chips, or cut up leaves. Tomato plants are self-pollinating, meaning that you do not have to have a second tomato plant nearby in order for it to be pollinated. However, once the temperatures soar to like 85, 90 degrees on a consistent basis, that tomato plant really struggles in being pollinated. So you might want to provide a little bit of shade for it. And also, if you go around every few days and just kind of gently shake the leaves where the blossoms are at, it will help give it a better chance to be pollinated. No matter how many years we garden, we're always going to have problems with the pesky pests. Tomato plants has about 20 different types of pests that loves to attack it and chomp down on its plant. It's best to use a pesticide that is going to be natural, that's going to be safe for the plant, safe for the environment, and safe for your health. But once that tomato plant has set fruit, it's probably best not to use any pesticides at that point in time. Root knot nematodes can cause much damage to your tomato crop. It is a microscopic organism that goes down to the roots, and they look like small balls of knots on your roots. And it can cause the plant to discolor, it can cause the plant to wilt easily in the heat, and just cause your plant not to survive. A couple things you can do to really help with root knot nematodes is crop rotation with your nightshade family, which is peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, and eggplants. So not planting those in the same area every time that you grow that crop will help cut back on that problem. And also, another thing you can do is to grow certain types of cover crops in that area that can help ward off those root knot nematodes. If you have found this video helpful, please take a moment to subscribe if you have not done so already. And every time you like the video, leave a comment and share it with others, you take a part in helping Kitchen Garden Farmhouse to grow. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.